Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. The big Celtic sell-off. The big Celtic sell-off is the headline of the video. And what is the game plan? What is the end game for the board? What is the end game for the end of this transfer window? Because as it stands just now, Celtic, we've lost quite a few players this window already. And the news coming out this morning that Mikey Johnston, there's a medical booked for Mikey Johnson. He will be leaving Celtic. The initial links to Burnley last night. He now looks to complete the move to the English Championship side. He's undergoing a medical in London this morning before a transfer. Be interesting to see if it is a loan or if it is the case that is Mikey Johnson's Celtic career over. We'll wait on more information coming out on that. But Gustav Lagerbielke also leaving the building. Kobayashi leaving the building. And the big one. Yes, the big one. The fact that Fabrizio Romano last night said that Napoli are close to completing the deal for Billy Gilmour. It's all set. Both clubs and player are all ready to go. Meanwhile, Brighton are in advanced talks for Matt O'Reilly. They could finalise the agreement with Celtic soon. They were basically making sure that they had Matt O'Reilly in the door before releasing Billy Gilmour, who is off to Italy. And when you think about it, Matt O'Reilly could have been in Italy, but they didn't pay enough. They didn't want to pay enough. Brighton, it looks like they are going to pay that 26 million with at least a minimum of a 10% sell-on clause. I think that's a bit cheap. I think I hope they've stuck out and went out for a bigger deal. I think that 10% is nothing. I think that they're going to sell him. I mean, if they're buying him for 30 million, they're going to double their money. They're going to sell him for 60, 70, 80 million. You know the way that the English transfer system works and the way that they value players down there, it's ridiculous. I'll give him a year and they'll probably be making a move. Be interesting to see how much they sell Billy Gilmour for, because I think Chelsea might have a sell-on clause with that. And the bigger picture, it can only be good for Scottish football that he's away there. Maybe he'll get some game time and he'll become a better player. But for us, losing Matt O'Reilly and quite a few of the other players, it is disappointing. So the poll this morning, we're getting to a poll straight away of 63 votes. Do you think Celtic will be stronger after the transfer window? I'm getting the poll right in at the beginning this morning so that we get as much people voting as possible. It is a little bit earlier than 9 o'clock back home. I did say it'd start between 2:15 and 9 o'clock. Let me just see this. Right, let me just get some. I've not even got my telly on this morning to see if there's any breaking Sky News. Let's jump into the comment section. Mikey Johnson will be joining medical. Yeah, I said that. Or did you put that on before I got it? Anyway, GT, we're going back to the Kelly and White regime, biscuit tin mentality. Well, it's not really the biscuit tin mentality because back in those days, the Whites and the Kellys didn't have the financial clout that this board has. So saying that we're going back to the White and Kelly days it's a bit of a slap in the face to this board because the fact is they didn't have the financial clout that this board has. They didn't have the financial clout to do what they're doing with Barrowfields. I mean, they were going to take us away from Celtic Park, remember, and they were going to take us to Cumberslang, and they were going to build a stadium in Cumberslang just off the motorway so that it was easy access for fans. They had this delusional grandeur, but that was all just a way of generating money to facilitate that new stadium and get the bank off their back. That was basically what that was for. But luckily enough, Fergus McCann come in and saved the day. Yes, Fergus McCann come in and saved the day and rebuilt Celtic Park into the family stadium that we now call home. Well, it's always been home, but it's a modern version of our home. They took away the track round the outside of the ground, the outside of the park. They took away the extended bit behind the goals, and they brought us in closer together as a family. Oh, Jesus fuck. JT also says good morning for Lanzarote. Andrew's in. It says morning hoops. Morning Celtic family around the world. Daniel's coming in from the Free Derry. John Milne's in. Hazel's in. Good morning to you. Morning Gemma. Also, Daniel says totally agree. The Celtic model. It's frustrating though. What's unacceptable is the continual lack of success planning. I think that we're about to bring in a couple of players that are going to shock us. And one player that has been mentioned, the Polish guy, yeah, I know he's Polish, knew that all along. Um, he's costing between 8 to 10 million. Supposedly, he scored a screamer when he played early this morning because it's late last night when they play, isn't it? And they play in the evening like they do here in Europe. Tend to play their soccer in the evening. Play their soccer in the evening. Fucking soccer, yeah. It's football, yeah, Raj. You fucking mental case. Anyway, he scored an absolute screamer last night, so costing between 8 and 10 million. Celtic will be getting the checkbook out, getting the checkbook. And here's what you could have won your checkbook and pen. Matt O'Reilly goes off to the distance, and here's what you could have won. At least we're going to spend between 8 and 10 million, which I think is good on one player. It'll be interesting to see how many more players come in and around that price bracket, because I think there's going to be a lot of Celtic fans at the end of this transfer window going, okay then, right, we can't say anything because fair dues, they backed the manager. They backed the manager and they got in quite a few players at a good price. Now let's see if we could push on. Let's see if they're better than Mattarelli. Let's see if they're better than Kyogo. The Kyogo situation is way up in the air also. And we're not even sure if Manchester City will put in a bid for Kyogo. It's all ifs and buts at the moment. Do we have anyone left? Will we have anyone left at the end of the window, says John Paul says, hail, hail, trips. Joseph says, morning. Albert is in the house. Hail, hail from Bedfordshire. Paul Bear's in the house. Lanky's in the house. And Mikey Johnson. Yeah, I spoke about that one. What is the poll doing? We've got 102 votes. 66% say no, we won't be stronger after the transfer window. 34% yes. I've got a funny feeling there's a lot of fans going to have egg on their face. Baz, did we say we will be a lot stronger after the window? I've always kept the heat, says Lanky. Yes, you have, mate. The lack of signings, the board will try to blame the Green Brigade, says Paul. Oh, don't start this morning. Jesus. We call it soccer in Ireland due to the GAA being called football, says Wex. I believe it when I see it, says Robert Wallace, says Rob Wallace. It's a right Scottish name, man. The name is Robert Wallace. Anyway, Andrew says, when you've got a boss like Brendan Rodgers, you listen to what he says. He's the top manager. The board are not. And a big shout out to Stephen Johnston this morning. Big up, Stephen Johnston. Hope you're good this morning. I hope you're all well. Lanky Brendan has got his own way. Next big improvement will be the recruitment team. Yes, and I think look, I have said that. I said one of the defining moments of Brendan Rodgers' tenure so far as manager, one of the defining moments was getting rid of Lowell Jr. Because that is what, in my opinion, held Celtic back. It is, in my opinion, what held Celtic back. When you look at the players, that are leaving, just even this week, Furuhashi, right, came in under Lowell's tenure. Gustav Lagerbielke came in under Lowell's tenure. You know, players that were brought in for, and you can see the way that the Celtic, you can see the way that Celtic were thinking in the background. It's like if we bring in 9 players between 2, 3, 4, 5 million maximum, and we could sell at least 2 or 3 of them for 10 million. And that's the way that the Celtic board would have been thinking. They'd have been thinking, look, if we sell 3 players and make a 10 million profit on them, do you know that's a good bit of business. But the reality is, there's not a lot of players that come into Scottish football and that turn into £10 million players. Realistically, there's not, and I think that's where the flaw was in the model that Celtic had. And I think that is the serious flaw that it was in the model that Celtic has. This trying to buy in 1 million, 2 million, £3 million players and turn the whole squad of them into £10 million players. It just doesn't happen. And then you would have your conveyor belt then. You could have your conveyor belt of players that you're bringing in. But ultimately, the way that the transfer market goes and where the money is selling players for 20 million plus. Now, you're not going to get a £20 million plus player every season. You can maybe get one every. Well, I would say, yeah, you could actually. I think we could. Because I mean, if you could sell one player out the Celtic squad. If we bring in the good enough players in the first instance, and not so much prospects. I mean, if you're buying in this Polish guy from America for £8 million, right? The board are thinking he's going to be a 25 to £30 million player. They're not buying him in if they think that they're only going to turn him into a £15 million player. There's absolutely no way of that. They're thinking bigger picture. They're thinking if we bring someone in for that kind of money, you're looking to turn them into a 25 to £30 million player. Matt O'Reilly price bracket. And I think that's the way that Brendan has finally got the backroom staff, the Michael Nicholson's and thinking. And I think that can only be for the benefit of the club long term. And it has took someone. I think Ange tried it to a certain extent, but Ange, I think, was too pally with Lowell Jr. And that's how he ended up with that price bracket. I mean, even Ange said it. It's all about fucking. You can bring in a £1 million player and turn him into a 10 million, or you can bring in a £6 million player and turn him into a 25 million. It seems that is now coming to fruition. So it'll be good to see if what happens this week. I think the first one the first big one anyway, and the only big one of the summer is going to be the Matt O'Reilly deal. That looks like it's going to go through. The fact that Billy Gilmour is heading off to Italy, to Napoli. I need to go down and see Fabio, my old next door neighbour. He was a massive Napoli fan. Massive Napoli fan. Anyway, let me just see. And the breaking news this morning also is the fact that medical is booked for the one and only Mikey Johnson. Mikey Johnson, whose face got smashed in, but he's not going to be a big Celtic player going forward. I wonder if it's going to be an actual. They're selling him. I wonder if Mikey Johnson going, nah, boss, I just want to go. I think my time here is up. It would be an interesting conversation. I know that Brendan Rodgers says Mikey Johnson wants to play football, but will he put him out on loan again, or will Mikey Johnson just said, "Look, boss, I just want to go. I've had my time at Celtic. I've won things. I want to go and play football. I want to just go and play football and enjoy the rest of my career." And Brendan Rodgers is going, fair dues, Mikey, fair dues. Anyway, let's jump back in. Stephen Johnson says, LG. Lanky says, Paul will be stronger. Paul Lanky, as soon as I see the coming end of the window, we are stronger than we are just now. Let's hope we can compete on the European level. I think the competing on the European level will be far more defensive this year. I think you're going to see a much improved Celtic defensive-wise. And when I say that, I mean as a unit. I don't mean the people. I don't mean the players in the back four. I don't mean the players in the back four. I think Brendan Rodgers knows for this team to have any impact at all in Europe, that we need to defend better as a team and get back as a team quicker. Get round, and Brendan Rodgers alluded to that himself. He says, if you look at the way that we've been doing it in the SPFL, when we lose the ball, we're doubling up on players. That happens to us in Europe. The best teams do that in European football. When when the best teams, when teams in Europe play against us, they double up on our players. They double up to make sure that it's harder for our players to pass. And I think you'll see Celtic doing a lot more of that this year. I think this is going to be the season where you'll see the tactical side of Brendan Rodgers coming to the forefront of this Celtic team. I think you're going to see the tactical play and the gameplay, the management of the game coming to the forefront. And it's going to be a completely different game to the way that we played in Europe under Ange. Because Ange was just one way, and that was it. Do you know, it was one way, and Ange was always the train of thought is, well, if they score 3 goals, we'll score 4 goals. Oh, in Europe, Ange, that doesn't really work. Do you know, it doesn't really work. There's not often that you get sort of score lines like that. Teams tend to sit and they're more tactical, and I think that was the downfall of Ange and the downfall of the players last season, and the fact that we've been saying it for long enough. Look, we need players that they could play at the top level, and bringing in Gustav Lagerbielkes and stuff just isn't going to cut the mustard. Anyway, there's been 158 votes this morning so far. There has been 158. 67% says no, we're not going to be stronger. 33% yes. That's a massive turnaround for last night. It was a lot closer last night. There was a lot more votes last night. There was about 300 votes, so we'll stay on for a while a bit. It is an early morning live. I'm not expecting too many people to be on this live this morning because people have got work and stuff. Let me jump back into the comments section. Paul Baird says we need to bring in at least five players, first team ready players. Yep, Paul, I'm expecting Celtic to go out and I'm not kidding. I think Celtic will spend 25 million before the end of the window. And I honestly think that if we're bringing in one player, and that's not including Adam Ida. That is not including Adam Ida. We've already spent 8.5 million on Adam Ida, right? That money came from players that have already gone. So as it stands, Celtic have not spent any money. I think Celtic will spend a massive chunk. If we're getting 25 million down payment of 26 million for Matt O'Reilly, I expect Celtic to go out and spend around about 20 million plus on players before the end of the transfer window. I think that Brendan knows what he needs for the team. And if you look at it, we're going to get this Polish guy in for 8 million. If we go and get the Liverpool left back, they're wanting near enough 4 million for him. So there's 12 million straight off. We need another striker, we need another midfield player and another winger. And we also need a centre back. You're not going to pick them up for peanuts at the end of the transfer window. You're going to spend some serious money. So let's just see what happens. We do have, how many days have we got left now? 8 days. Uh, Yeah, 8 days. 8 days. What day is it? It's 22nd. Yeah, 8 days left of the transfer window. This is the time when it all ramps up. But 34% say nope, I'm not going to be stronger. There's 170 votes, and no is 66%. Carly's in the house this morning saying hail hail. Celtic boy says, Baz, I'm watching for work, says Paul. Naughty boy. Watching for work. What is work anyway? Work's just the way of getting cash, isn't it? Jim F says we should be building a team to play in the Champions League this season for experience to make a bigger impact next season. Why would you think that watching Brenda in Europe for 4 non-defensive years? I think that John Paul. I think that Brendan has changed the way that his tactical awareness. And I think the way that he's changed his team, I've got a funny feeling. Just wait and see. Let's just make the call once we've been in Europe. I think you will see the team defending better. I think previously Brendan Rodgers was of the mindset that your back four are the defenders, and it's like you've got your holding midfield player, and it's like you're not wanting anybody to get past the holding midfield and sort of defend from the front. And I think now the way that modern football's changed, the fact that we've seen them do it in the SPFL, when we lose the ball, we double up on players. We never used to double up on players in the SPFL. It would be like if you lose the ball, one man goes and gets them. But now we're trying to stop the opponent's play. So you can't go from playing like that domestic football to then go into Europe and expect them just to change the system completely. I think that we're trying to play a more European style of football so that when we do go into the bigger stage and into the Champions League, the formations that we're playing, the tactical awareness of the player, the closing down players quicker, the doubling up on players, it's not a new thing. And that I think that's where the changes are. And I just think that is Brendan Rodgers learning from his mistakes. Being honest, I think that it's him learning from his mistakes and actually taking time out to think, right, how can I change things? How? Because I need to change it. I'm the master tactician here within the management team, and I think he will do it. It's just a hunch. It's just a hunch. Um, I would think we'll get our business done one way or the other, even if it's late on. Celtic will do the business, says Celtic boy. Carly says he'll help all my people. I wish Kyogo well. It's a dream come true. I don't know if I don't even know if they're going to put an offer in for Kyogo. By all accounts, down. I mean, I'm going to ask actually. I've got a mate that actually does a lot of work for, and that's on my phone. Leave it with me because I've got a guy who has a contract with Man City to do work for Man City. And I'll ask him the question. He might not get back to me today because he's working. But let me ask him because they do a lot of maintenance work inside the ground. And he loves talking football. And that's all he does is talk football. That's how he gets most of his business down in Manchester, talking about football. And I'll ask him. I never thought about that last night, actually. Yeah, let me wait. I'll ask him. Morning, Baz. For sunny Carden Den, says Fiona. The sunny is it sunny in Carden Den? Sunny back in Fife. That's fantastic news because it's cloudy here. You stole the sun. 4 strip on the way, based on the Champions League pumping team. It'll look like fannies. 20 million for Kyogo. Let's just wait and see if that official bid comes in because I'm not sure if it will. The new Champions League setup suits us better, says Lanky. Yes, because it's not the cut and throat of you need to win sort of you need to get a certain amount of points. You do need to get a certain amount of points to go through in the group, but I think in a group stage and playing 8 games rather than just the small amount of games that we played, the 6. I mean, you're playing 2 extra games, but I think the format you're not having the cutthroat of the away win and stuff. Anyway, doesn't matter who leaves. We'll be all right. Yeah, it's always true. Man City will not pay 20 million. Not a chance, says Paul Baird. Yeah, says the Man City pods seem to think Kyogo will be a good addition. Yeah, of course they do. They all think Kyogo will be a good addition. He's going to play on the wing for them. So it's like I said last night on the live, if you were on that. Kyogo gets a lot of attention off the ball in Scotland. Kyogo gets a lot of attention off the ball. And he doesn't get a lot of protection from the refs, even when he is on the ball. When he's playing as a winger, there's less chance of him getting clattered off the ball. And there's less chance of him getting basically a physical attack, a shoulder charge. And I think it would suit him better, to be honest. I think it would suit him better. 8 different teams, most of them will be there for the taking. Yep, I hope so. These 2 supposedly disappeared, the tactics would fall apart. If these 2 suddenly disappeared, the tactics would fall apart. If what 2? Says user. Feels like the last time I seen the Sun in the Highlands we were sponsored by C.R. Smith. Like he says, it's the end of the area. It makes sense, especially regarding Matt and Kyogo. Exactly. Celtic Girl says, hit the thumbs up for Baz. Every player, when it comes to the club, I mean, Kyogo has to have been coming towards, if not this season, it would have been the next transfer window or the next window. The fact that Celtic did put him on a longer contract was good to just to protect the investment for the club. But every player they don't have a finite career at Celtic. Foreign players that come in through the system have the chance and the ability to have a longer and have more longevity at Celtic than foreign players, in my opinion. Unless you get someone coming through the system like a Kieran Tierney. where they're going to go, do you know what? We're going to get him sold for 20 plus million. But there's not many of them come through the system. I would prefer it. I prefer players to come through the system like James Forrest and Callum McGregor to spend their career at Celtic, because you need that backbone. And I think that's what's missing from that club across the road. Celtic have always had the nucleus of players that know what the club are about, that get the club and know that. And every good team, every successful team, every team that has that little bit of success has that nucleus of players. And it doesn't matter what league you look in. You know, you can look here in Spain, Barcelona. They have players that come through the system, and players that the club means everything. Kieran Tierney spoke about it with his time with his club in Spain. He says that's their club, you know, and they'll do anything. They'll go through brick walls for that club, and you need that, and you need players like that. But at the same time, you need to bring in players and to have that continuous improvement and the Kaizen within the team, and be able to make players better to also put them on. Tony Ralston knows his position in the team. He knows that he's never going to be first choice in front of Johnston, right? He knows he's not going to be in front of Johnston, but he's happy, right? He's happy that he knows that. Stephen Welsh is happy being at Celtic. As far as he's concerned, he's on a great wage. Do you know what I mean? He's at the club that he loves. Stephen Welsh is another one. He knows he's not going to be first team choice, but he knows that he's going to be in and around the squad, and he knows that if he's needed and called upon, he's going to be there. It's a bit like when Tam Rogic came to Celtic. Tam Rogic wasn't played every game, but he was happy being in the background. And it's very, very rarely that do you get a foreign player like Tom Rogic, when somebody with the ability of Tom Rogic to come into the club and stay for such a long time, which I think, with the business model that Celtic have now, we're lucky. Is the whole point of that, is we're lucky to keep players for 4 seasons. And now that we're going into the 4th season of Kyogo, I think that it's at that time where you're thinking, if you're getting 20 million for him, yeah, we'll take it. Simple, we'll take it. Simple as that. It's a no-brainer. If everyone sat at the end of last campaign, when at the end of May, the 25th of May, when we won the Scottish Cup, if everyone sat then and said, if I put a poll at then, if we get 20 million for Kyogo this summer, would you take it? And I would have went 90% yes. Of course, take it. 20 million for Kyogo, take it all day long. It would have been such a dramatic response for Celtic fans. A lot of Celtic fans were saying, no, you can't. And it's like, well, of course you can. You take that 20 million and you go and bring in somebody else. It's as simple as that. It is the business model. They wear their heart on the sleeve. Yes, they do that. Let me just jump back to some of the comments. Green Lecture, I do try to remain positive, but the potential to lose Matt O'Reilly, Cameron Carter, Vickers, Kyogo, etc., and have to basically rebuild has the signs of a shit show. One, we will not be losing Cameron Carter, Vickers. I can understand the Matt O'Reilly, he's going. The Kyogo one, it's like I said, do you know, Celtic always have the knack, and we've proved that over the last 20 odd years. We've always got the knack of bringing someone in, and then people will say, oh, why didn't we buy the Aberdeen player? Why don't we buy Shankland? You never know. We maybe put in a fucking offer for Shankland this week. Maybe that's the brainchild of Brendan Rodgers. Now that would be a turn up for the books. Would you accept that, Celtic fans, if we sell Kyogo for 20 million and bring in Shankland? Tell me that one, because a lot of Celtic fans during the summer were crying out for us to go and get Shankland. Never mind Adam Ida. Go and get Shankland. He's Scottish. He'll do it to the Scottish contingent. What if Celtic made an £8 million bid for Shankland before the end of the window just to throw a spanner in the works? Would you accept that? I'm going to jump through all your comments. No to Shankland. Do Man City need him? Yes, as a winger. Lanky says, we'll know the club. If a club like Man City comes along, you're definitely jumping, even though you might be a backup player. Yes, please no. Please no, says Sean. I don't think it will be Shankland, but Shanklin's no good. No good for Celtic. No good enough for Celtic. Like I said, see the Polish lad reminds me of Rodgers, talent there. And I think he reminds me, could he be the next Victor Wanyama? Could he be the next Victor? I don't want Shanklin. Hell no. No, it's Shanklin. He's a Hun. Greg Taylor was a Hun when he was younger. Come on, give the boy a chance. He might turn out to be green, white, and gold inside. It's like when you open one of those birthday cakes that's got RFC on the top and they cut into it, and there's green, white, and yellow cake inside. You know, it might be like that. Tartan paint, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. Rapsy showed more ambition than the Celtic board. Rapsy Nisbet showed more ambition than the Celtic board. No, no, and again, no. Kyogo goes, Kidsford Garden comes in, says Lanky. That could be. No, he's a Hun. Well, he won't be going to Ibrox because they can't afford him unless he stays at Hearts for another season. Bruni was a Hun as well as a kid. Exactly, as a kid. Now he's a Hibby. Denies Hibby through and through. Do you know what I mean? So anybody could be a Hun as a kid. Fucking take pity on them. Anyway, we've got 247 votes. Let's see if we can get more than the 300 we got last night. Even if it means staying on. We've been on for half an hour. Even if it means staying on a bit longer, there's been 922. See, it's a lot quieter, the lives. This is why I prefer just putting the video out in the morning. It's a lot less work. I could have had it recorded, edited, and put up by now and away down more thing. Shanklin, no. We need to sell Palmer to City. He's a winger and keep Kyogo. Palmer's not got the pace of Kyogo. Palmer's not got the pace of Kyogo. Kyogo ripped them a new one, and that's why they want him. Kyogo got City nearly choked on my tea. Shankland is a goat warrior. He'll no come to us. So was Kenny. Yep, so was King Kenny. King Kenny as a kid. Bruni used to be a Hun, but he's all right now. He is that. He is all right now. And you could. There's one thing. He'll never be a Hun in his life. Never, ever. No shanks, no shanks for Shankland. No shanks for Shankland. No shanks for Shankland. No shanks for Shankland, Dad. Fucking right, that's enough of that shitey talk. Just fucking don't have ever fucking talk like that again, you fucking rajfish. Anyway, more entertainment when you're live, Baz. Yeah, it is more entertainment when you're live because we can go off on one. Right, let me see if there's any Celtic news kicking about this morning more than what I have done and report. Oh, I noticed that the old Jota stories came up again. The 15 million Jota to Celtic return scenario that could save Parkhead board from trouble in Paradise. Paradise is for us is it's a new documentary, in-house behind the scenes documentary as Hoop fans have fevered. No wonder they call the manager box office. The 30-second taster of Brendan Rodgers' team talk. Is anything to go by? This will be showcase cinemas in the coming. Who wrote this fucking nonsense? All right, let's just go and see. Lagervelke has options. Mikey Johnson close to exit. Celtic interested in SPFL midfield player. We're going to end up going and get the Dundee player, aren't we? Luke McGowan for $1 million, as well as the 8 million that we're going to spend on this other geezer. The club hasn't made a concrete offer for him yet. I think that Brendan Rodgers and Celtic are going to make about 3 signings in one day just to annoy us all and get us all going, ooh, Johnson on the brink. Let's just see this. It's just more confirmation. Wonder how much we'll get from Mikey Johnston. I wonder how much we'll get for Mikey Johnson. Because if we get 6 million for Mikey Johnson, poof, if we get 6 million for Mikey Johnson, you've got to say, Jota's on 200 grand a week. He's not coming back. Says AR. Do you think that whatever club Jota go, just calm your horses. Do you think that Jota's going to walk into 200 grand in his next club? Not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance he's going to walk into that. Will Celtic pay 45 grand a week to get Jota back? Hmm. No. Mikey Johnson deal done. 5 million, 4 years, says Lanky. There we go. Lanky saying that the Mikey Johnson deal is done. 5 million, 4 year deal. Fantastic piece of business for Celtic. Fantastic piece of business for Celtic. I'll just check this. I'll just see. Oh, I thought you were talking about Alistair Johnson, 6 million. No, Alistair Johnson's never going. That's great money for Mikey Johnson. Larry has got to admit that Celtic are doing the business is quite remarkable. Scottish football has no money in it. DD, what a job he's doing. Just don't spend. Can't believe that Mikey Johnson went for that kind of money. Will we spend it though? Yes, I think we're going to spend it. He will sign tomorrow, Monday at the latest, says Lanky. Michael Kelly says we should have got more from Mikey Johnson after that loan last season. They were wanting 6 million for him last season, so I think Mikey Johnson has his medical in London this morning. Says starting to the paint. Yep, we know that. My head's bursting with all this. It's just got to work. Get the players in. Hail, hail. If it's true, it's amazing bit of business. I think getting if are the Burnley board on glue Kaiser. This is it, Baz. 10 days. The make or break Celtic's future. It's less than 10 days. It's less than 10 days. It's way less than 10 days. It's now down to 8 days, mate. 8 days to get as many players in as we can. Amazing business again by Celtic, getting 5 million for Mikey Johnson. It's like Jesus. It'll probably cost us more in physio fees. Yeah, it's probably cost 6 million in physio fees over the years. The Celtic generating hundreds of millions would buy into a stronger league. No, no, Larkline. I don't think you're going to buy your way into a stronger league. And now we should go back to Burnley for Dara O'Shea. That's interesting. It'd be interesting to see if that's even part of the deal. But then maybe not. I want Brendan here for 5 years and build our organisation up. I think he's already doing that. I spoke about that in the live last night. I think that Brendan Rodgers is working on things way before this transfer window opened, and it's all coming to fruition. Last month he was here, I said we'll get rid of players that we don't want to be here. Brendan has spoken with 10 players. Now just need Lager and Rocket to go. They'll be next. Yep, and it is the sell-off, the Celtic sell-off. What is the game plan? That's what I called this video. The Celtic sell-off. Exit, exit, exit. The Celtic sell-off. And when you look at the players, when it gets to the end of the transfer window and you see the players that's left from Bosun Lowell to the young left back, he's going out on loan, to the players that have been sold. That's going to be an interesting look at the books, because the money that we're bringing in compared to the money that we're going to spend, once again, we're probably going to be in a positive at the end of the transfer window. due to the fact that we're on the verge of selling Matt O'Reilly for 25 million. I think Celtic will spend over 20 million in total this window. We're sitting at just 10 million at the moment. We're just 9.5 million because there's not the add-ons. So there's 9.5 million that we've spent so far. If we bring in this other guy, that takes it up. If we bring in a couple of more players, I think that Celtic will spend over 25 million this transfer window. I think it'll be a smaller squad, but it'll be players that can walk right into the first team. And there'll be a stronger bench because I think what this season has shown us so far is that the bench hasn't been as strong as what it can be. The bench is it's not been as strong as it can be. Anyway, that's 40 minutes. I'm done and dusted. I've got other work that I need to get done. Going to look up Larko Winder. Brendan Rodgers, please stay after next season. He will be. Brendan Rodgers is a Celtic fan, albeit he's on $4 million a year. Yeah, exactly. I'd stay at Celtic for life if I was on $4 million a year. Celtic boy says some kit we're building up, some kitty we're building up. Surely we can get at least to spend some out on the squad. Lanky says a massive revamp of players and the coaching staff to the recruitment team. Yes, and it is. And it is that. Gerald Johnson says, good morning. I'm just about to leave, Gerald. We've been on for 40 minutes so far. Hail, hail from the Milton team. When Henrik, Hooper, Van Hooijdonk, Griff, Sutton, Hartson left, gutted. But we are Celtic and we survive. Andrew Kirk, you get the last comment in the video because it's true. No matter what players come and what players go, there's one consistent, and that is you guys, and that is us. That is us. We are not going anywhere. We definitely did not come here to take part. We're staying in Scotland. We came to take over. We came to dominate. And we aim to do that this season again. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day to every Celtic fan all around the world.